take a look, documentary Brilliant Moon with His Holiness Dilgo Khyentse Rinpoche. He's a Tibetan guru, master, I would say. He's not alive anymore, but he was until somewhat recently. He lived in, in the modern time at least. And we have video footage of him and things like that. So it's not like a 300-year-old teacher. He was Dalai Lama's teacher, among others. And they have made a documentary about him called Brilliant Moon, which his name is really. I think his name means Brilliant Moon. And we're going to just dive into a few parts of it, and I'm going to make some comments about it. To me, he's in the spirit of, or like, in the same light. I see him in the same light as someone like Ramana Maharishi or Nisargadatta Maharaj, or, one of these absolute beasts of a teacher. As good as they come, basically. That is my view, at least. It's always hard to know with these teachers which aren't living today, because today we have a scrutiny that we never had before. We have hundreds and hundreds of hours of footage of someone like Adyashanti or Rupert Spira or Gangaji or whoever, and they faults and foibles are readily apparent, or become, because they are so scrutinized. These older teachers, even though Dilgo Khyentse is modern in the way that he's pretty recent, but it's not as recent as that, like the last 10, 20 years. So in that way, we don't know as much as we would have if he was living today. But still, pretty modern, and my sense of it, my intuition, and reading him and listening to others too, tells me that this is just one of the great ones. So we'll jump right into it. This is when he was a child. They're telling a story about how he got hurt.
With his brother, Tashi Paljor fell into a pot of boiling soup. His lower body was badly burnt, and he was bedridden for many months. Without any real signs of improvement, the parents lost hope for their son's life. Helplessly, the father asked his son, "What should we do?" "Well, it would help if I could wear a monk's robe," the son replied. With a heavy heart, the father agreed.
So because we haven't watched the beginning, this might not make much sense, but his father, his other Dilgo Khyentse, which wasn't his name at this time, but his other siblings they became monks, and his father didn't want him to be that. He wanted him to stay in the house and work, whatever it is, what they were doing there, and not leave the house. But Dilgo had that wish. And now on his sort of deathbed, he asks his father again to grant him the wish to become a monk. And his father, I think, says yes.
Tashi Paljor's entrance into the monastic life meant the end of the Dilgo family line. But the boy's health improved, and he was happy.
So he was really badly hurt, actually. He almost died, and he didn't improve until, I think, at least according to the tale, he didn't improve until he got his wish to become this monk and live the monk life. We're gonna jump ahead a bit to 1232. Let's see.
Cave. So we are not allowed to see him. Sometimes
So this is at first when his... this is one of the points that someone from a modern, at least Western perspective, might say he wasn't a good father because he wasn't really around his children. He had children, but as they say here, they didn't, or at least this one of his daughters didn't even know he was her father. He thought he was just a guru, and he basically never saw them. He was always in retreat and doing other things. So he saw them like once a month, or I don't know, something like that. Which in modern Western standards, that's not a lot. That's not a lot. That's not being a present father for sure. And that's true. So by modern standards and Western standards, he wasn't a good father. But this isn't the Western world, and this was a while ago. And he was a spiritual teacher. So yeah, we have to, I think it's good at least to see both perspectives, or at least those two.
We reach your food outside the cave and then go back. He hardly comes home. He always in the retreat. When I was very young, I never knew he is my father. We thought it's my guru, and I never knew he's my father.
All of Khyentse Rinpoche's teachers had advised him that after properly engaging in study, contemplation, and meditation, he should then uphold, preserve, and expound the doctrine to the faithful. Despite Khyentse Rinpoche's profound wish to spend his life in secluded retreat, he honored the advice of his teachers.
So what they're referring to is that Dilgo, after gaining some insight, gaining awakening or enlightenment or whatnot, he wanted to live his whole life in retreat, basically, not engaging in the world. But his teacher, one of them, don't remember who, told him to do the exact opposite actually, to become this teacher. And he obliged.
Traveled widely across eastern and central Tibet, teaching as well as receiving teachings from various traditions. At Khyentse Choki Lodro's behest, Khyentse Rinpoche traveled to Rekong in northeast Tibet. There he...
And this is also, just the spiritual life, I would say, to give up your own life, basically, to do what you are told in this light by your teacher, and also do what your heart tells you in some way. It's hard to tell here if he went against his heart, or if he knew that what his teacher was telling him was the more ultimate truth. But to live a life of being sort of a teacher or be living a life of truth isn't living your own life, basically. That's what I'm trying to say. You're following your heart and what is true, rather than what you prefer. I guess that's one way I was saying it. Okay, we're gonna jump ahead again to one of the things which is I think really uncommon, and I thought was really or is really interesting with this guy, with Dilgo Khyentse. Let's hear what this is a student of his speaking about him, and I'm going to comment on it.
Kunchak Lodro, an old student of Khyentse Rinpoche, recalls those days.
He was a very kind-hearted person, very gentle, and he never got angry. It is rare to find someone like him these days. No matter what people said to him, whether it was good or bad, pleasant or unpleasant, he always reacted in the same way. He would just say, "I see, I see." During the break from his teachings or empowerments, Rinpoche would...
Yeah, so that's... he basically always replied, and this is hard to know, that's what I meant in the beginning, we can't know these things really for sure, because there aren't enough footage, and there aren't enough people maybe to really, or I don't know, maybe it is enough. Ramana Maharishi, for example, who's also seen like one of the greatest of all time, one of the goats, he also had a lot of equanimity around him, but according to some sources at least, he did get angry, like once every 3 years or something. So it wasn't often. And there's also this this idea of having a sort of spiritual anger or holy anger. That doesn't necessarily mean that you're triggered, but yeah, as far as I understand, he kind of got irritated at some points, like a human being, which isn't, a bad thing. That, I mean, it's not like that's the end goal and to never, or maybe it is to some extent actually, but you don't need, it's not like you're a bad teacher or a bad person just because you get triggered. I mean, almost all people get triggered. But this is what I found interesting with Dilgo Khyentse, that they explicitly speak about him always reacting the same way. And this is his teaching too. So if you listen to his teachings, which I have done, he often speaks about, reacting the same way to everything, neither grasping nor aversion, neither coming nor going, neither angry or jealous or happy, basically. He was just saying, I see, I see, I see, I see, whether it was good news or bad news. And that's just to the degree that it's true, which I think it is to a large degree at least. It's just a beautiful thing to see that is living the teaching. There's another guy called Sogyal Rinpoche, who's also featured in the video, who wrote the Tibetan book of Living and Dying, I think it's called. I think he used a ghostwriter for it as well, but yeah, he was revered. Maybe it is to some extent still, but it turned out he wasn't such a good person after all. He hit his students. He had things with money and sex, and that a lot of these teachers exhibit. That's what I really was interested in. With it doesn't necessarily make you doesn't make you a worthless teacher. You can still have written great books. You can have given great talks, but if you're doing those kinds of things, I don't think in those respects, you're definitely not a good teacher. So to find a teacher that is, almost flawless, we know no one is, of course, but this is someone who, Dilgo Khyentse seems like someone who is both having a really deep understanding of the nature of reality, understanding all the teachings, not just intellectually, but like a deep understanding about the very nature, the very fabric of reality, which just almost no one else has to that degree that he has, my understanding at least. And also being like a good person, being nice, being the teaching, not just having that. For example, someone doing a psychedelic trip can have all kinds of insights and see things and, whatever. But it doesn't mean that that person is then living that truth in their day-to-day life, which is what I see Dilgo Khyentse doing. He gave his life to this, and he was also being the bodhisattva. He's speaking about, the bodhisattva, which is, a compassionate being in this world, and giving the teachings and being a good person, basically, being a loving person, being neutral in a good way, saying, I understand, I see in the same way too, whether it's good or bad news. I think that's just really high level, basically. That's high level. It's so hard to manage to do a thing like that. Who do you come across that is like that? If it's true, again, we don't know 100%, but at least there are some people claiming it. Okay, let's continue.
In 1962, Khyentse Rinpoche's younger daughter, who was studying in India at the time, fell ill. He quickly traveled to be by her side. However, after spending only a few minutes with her, she passed away. Though unfamiliar with the local language and lacking resources, Khyentse Rinpoche carried her body to the bank of the Yamuna River. He spent the whole night gathering wood and preparing the funeral pyre. In the early dawn, Khyentse Rinpoche cremated her himself. Having lost his daughter, his teachers, and his homeland, he wrote,
"A beautiful country is like a dream, like illusion. It is senseless to cling to it. Unless the inner forces of negative emotions are conquered, strife with outer enemies will never end."
Again, living his teaching is what I would say. He is, the death of his daughter, cremating her, and he was from Tibet, and he had to flee that country, and it was overtaken, as you may know. So he lost his country, he lost all his possessions, all his teachings that he had there. He had to just leave them, and now he lost one of his daughters too. And what he wrote was that, I don't remember what it was exactly, something like in effect of being a dream, and that we need to overcome negative emotions, basically, which is again the Buddhist teaching. And I mean, who knows if that was what he felt, or if he's doing that, but to me it speaks to me. I would say it feels true to me. It feels true to me that he would also say something like that, and that it would be true for him. He was living that. He was a living teaching. Is that something? He was living his own teaching. He was a testament to his own teaching. Yeah, really, I think really, I want to say profound. Because that's a real test. It's one thing to sit at home, like I'm doing, in front of a computer. Everything's going fine, and you can say, everything is fine, everything is just a dream, whatever. It's another thing to have to leave your country, lose all your possessions, lose your friends, lose your teachers, which he did too. His teachers died, and his daughter, and still continue on and believe in the teachings, sort of. Yeah, that's a real test. Okay, so now we're going to listen to another guy called Dzongchar Khyentse. He's a somewhat famous Tibetan Buddhist too, and he's done some documentaries. Maybe he did this one, I don't know. He has done some documentaries.
Later, news reached Rinpoche that his teachers had indeed passed away in prison. In 1967, Rinpoche's daughter gave birth to a son, who was recognized as Rabjam Rinpoche, the combined reincarnation of the three Session masters. Khyentse Rinpoche himself...
Yeah, I chose the wrong. So this was what I said before about him, his teachers dying. So we forgot, or we missed Dzongchar. What he said anyway was simply that what I said before, that Dilgo Khyentse wasn't just a great master, a great meditation master and all of those things. He also was a good person, basically. He was a nice guy to be around. He was funny, he was witty, he was, welcoming to people. And and doing that every day. He was giving teachings, meeting with people every day, his whole life, basically. From when he started teaching, that is. And And as Dzongshar says, who has met, a lot of these famous teachers, he says that there are a lot of great masters in that they are meditation masters. They know the craft, they know, everything. They are awakened, but they may not be great people as, their personality or however you want to think about it. They can be quite, hard to be around, quirky, weird, and not in a good way. They can be like Sogyal Rinpoche, who hit his students and did other kinds of trespassings on people's private spheres. So that's just again a testament to who he really was. I think that he was really, really special, basically. Yeah, here he's speaking about it. Maybe I can stop and we can listen to it.
But not all the masters in life management. I have met many great masters. I must say I'm very fortunate. But not all the masters are that easygoing. So this is where I have to say Khyentse Rinpoche, such a unique quality. He is, of course, as we all know, a great master. But he was a good human being.
Yeah, so pretty much what I said, but this was nice to hear it from the horse's mouth. So, in this case, the horse is Dzongshar. And he just said that he was a good human being, which is, of course, that's kind of the goal, right? It's not just to be a meditation master. It is to be a good human being too. And here we have that in him. What I also liked about him was that he seems to be, because there is some footage of him, at least some, in which he seems, one of the things is that he seems happy almost all the time. Again, it's not that much footage. If we would have the same amount of footage as we have, like I said before, some other teachers today, maybe it wouldn't be the case, but he seems really happy, he seems really content, and he also seems a bit crazy. He does has these expressions that he does sometimes, which I find really funny. And I think we will be seeing one here. This is him being in the US, actually, and visiting both Europe and America. Yeah, there he was. So it was very, very brief, but still he's like, how do you say? He's just, clowning, fooling around. I don't know how you want to say it. But he can still be, even though he's a meditation master, this deep spiritual master, he is sort of like Jesus said, that it's not until we become like little children that we can enter the kingdom of God. And so I like it when I see things that, to this effect, being sort of, I would call it a little bit, a bit crazy, somewhat crazy, yet being a true master. And it's not crazy. Everyone can make faces. So I don't know how much to get into it, but to me, I get a good sense of it. My intuition is, that's someone I like. This is someone who has, almost the whole package, I would say. It's not just good at meditation. It's not just even a good person. He has humor, he is funny, he is loving, he is, all of it.
when his speech was unceasing when he was teaching. For example, when he was teaching, when he would breathe in, he'd keep speaking. And then when he breathed out, he was speaking as he breathed out. I've never seen that before. It was like this there wasn't a moment that he wasn't somehow engaged in some kind of compassionate activity.
Yeah, so that's also just one of the kind of interesting things about him, that it's not 100% true. I listened to him to some extent, and it's not like he's always speaking. He does, sometimes he just breathes in and don't say anything for sure. But he has this kind of monotonous tone almost, that he just speaks, and he speaks on the out breath as most of us do, and he also sometimes speaks on the in breath, which is kind of interesting, because you get and like she said, an unceasing communication, which is unusual, uncommon, and it was just, I think that's also like a testament to how the teaching it flows through him. He is the teaching. He is being the teaching, and it takes an expression in him in different ways, both in that he is this loving kindness towards other people, and also in this kind of weird ways in that he continuously speak both on the out breath and in breath, or at least can do that to some extent. He's always teaching. He's always also learning. He's taking in teachings from. He was non-sectarian, as they say. We would say, think that he's a Tibetan. That's true, but within the Tibetan community, or whatever I want to say, there's a lot of lineages there. Nyingma and Kagyu lineage, and different. They have the Bön tradition, and he took teachings from all of them, and he was what is called non-sectarian, and he just continued through. I mean, he's like to put it in perspective, he had written thousands and thousands of pages of his own teachings, read not everything, but a lot. So he's well read, and even well up until his 70s and until his death, basically, he still took in other teachings. He still had people come to him giving him teachings, and he read the teachings, and then he gave it too, of course. But just this continuing learning too. So it's the flow going in and out, the breath going in and out, and he's taking in teachings and giving it out continuously throughout his whole life. He was never, like many of us would probably feel, or at least I felt it on and off, I read a lot now, and I feel pretty full. I don't need that much. That I don't feel like reading any more teachings or listen to any more teachers speaking about things. He just kept doing it forever, or until his death, never ceasing, basically, it seemed. Okay, so and this is another thing he did. I'm gonna start the video again.
Then, without any prompting, he would just wake up exactly the same time, resume exactly where he'd left off half an hour earlier, and continue to teach without the slightest fluctuation or hesitation. I sometimes think that Dilgo Khyentse Rinpoche's greatest contribution, besides all his tremendous achievement, was the simple fact that he came and lived and taught in our time. An enlightened being actually manifested here, and we were fortunate enough to witness it.
Yeah, so the first thing, of course, they're saying that not, of course, you might have missed it because it started in the middle of it in medias res. When he got older, he had to take some naps during his teachings or in his work, during the days. And what he did was he just in the middle of a teaching, when I was sitting with someone, he just as he was sitting, he took a nap, just stopped speaking and started sleeping. And then he woke up, and then he just continued not sleeping, speaking, where he had left off, according to the person speaking here in the video. That's also pretty funny. And what he also said is, apart from, the greatest contribution, which I really, concur with, is maybe not all the teachings he gave or the books he wrote or the everything that he did, but the fact that we had a true a true enlightened being, sort of, if Gandalf in Lord of the Rings or someone, who could it be, Neo or Morpheus in the Matrix, or someone actually coming here and just being here, no matter what it does. Of course, it matters what it does. It matters a lot, but the fact that he came here and was this enlightened, that we can really say this is a true enlightened being. There are, of course, hundreds and thousands of people who have had awakenings, who are awake, who has realized their true nature and all those things. There are countless of people like that, but there are not countless true masters. Those are few and far between. So of course we have to define it, but again, like Ramana Maharishi is probably one of them. Of course, there are Zen masters in the Zen tradition, and this is also one of them. I would say Dilgo Khyentse Rinpoche. He's a true master, and which is also interesting, that he lived in a somewhat modern age, and there's footage of him. And I remember when I was more than 10 years ago, I think it was, when I first saw this. I think it was, doesn't really matter. I remember seeing it sitting in my kitchen, eating lunch or something, and watching this very documentary, and just started crying because it was just so beautiful to see him. For me, just seeing him move, seeing him communicate with others, just seeing his being. It's almost like you see I don't know what like you get a feeling when you see a cute dog or a cute child or whatever. Seeing this is not like that, of course, but just my sense of, or my soul or my inner guidance, seeing a true master. When I saw my own my Zen teacher the first time, I also had a sort of visceral, is that the word you use for it? A reaction anyway. Something in me knew, as I remember it, was, I want that. He has what I want. Something in me just knew that. I didn't know what it was really. I just had that felt sense. And you can have that with some people. In my experience, at least, I've heard other people saying that too. And you can get that through seeing. Adyashanti is also someone that I've never met. There's a lot of video with him though, but I've had good experiences from listening to his talks and when I had my own awakening experiences, I've sometimes seen him in my inner eye, so to speak. And Dilgo Khyentse Rinpoche is also someone that I just feel a deep affinity to, respect for, and longing for. Basically, I also really felt sad a couple of times because I will not be able to meet him, at least not in in the human body. I would, really have liked to do that because he just seems like, the perfect teacher, or like a wonderful human being. Okay, so we will finish off with what the Dalai Lama actually says about him. Dalai Lama, I think now is almost 89, so yeah, he's old.
The Buddha explained very detailed those the qualities of the gurus. So I found in him those the very good qualities. He great practitioner as well as great scholar, and particularly his basic belief or basic attitude is the non-sectarian, which I very much appreciate.
Yeah, and here he had trouble walking, I think, to a large extent because of the trauma he suffered as a child when he fell into that hot, whatever it was. And here also the Dalai Lama speaks about him as having those great qualities as a great teacher should have. And also he mentions this non-sectarian, the fact that Dilgo Khyentse is non-sectarian, which the Dalai Lama also likes, which is a pretty modern thing, I think. And it's still, of course, not non-sectarian within the Tibetan tradition, but I think Dalai Lama is very open to all kinds of traditions, and he has said, I think some, I don't remember exactly now, some not maybe that modern things about homosexuality. Yeah, so it's not, again, these different cultures and how they relate to each other. Most of the world is not great for people who are gay. That's just a fact. And even great spiritual masters can be homophobic, basically, which is sad to see that it doesn't take that away. But they can still be quite good teachers in many ways, though. Maybe not for the people who are gay, though. I don't know how that works. Yeah, that wasn't my intention to start speaking about that. But yeah, just the thing with different culture, and that's why it's so important to have a look at these teachers. And still in the modern West, we need to tailor the teachings to fit the community and the culture that we are living in here, and not throw out the baby with the bath water, but do throw out the bath water. Okay, so that was Dilgo Khyentse Rinpoche. I really highly recommend watching there's other videos by him too, or about him at least, but this one in particular, Brilliant Moon, is just a wonderful documentary about him. Okay, That's it for today. Thank you.